Hola, hello, how are ya? Pablo here with another episode of Blender Today live from Amsterdam, from the Netherlands, with a special guest today to talk about where is Blender 2.9. Last week when I said goodbye, I was like, oh my gosh, next week we would have Blender 2.9. But you know what? We already have it, and to talk about that, we're gonna have all the way from the Blender Animation Studio, Dalai Felinto. Hello, how are ya?
Pablo.
How's it
From
going?
the Blender Animation Studio, from the Blender Foundation headquarters.
Now you're an employee of Blender Institute, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, now they're actual companies. Like before it was more of a state of mind, but now they're actual companies. I'm also
I don't know where am I don't know, but
I'm also now an employee of the Blender Institute.
so hi there. Hi Pablo.
How is everybody? Hey, hello, let's talk in the chat today. We are live, so we're gonna be answering questions from the chat. Here we have it, and also from the Blender Today, the thread that was created by this guy, Pablo. Thank you, Pablo, for making it 10 comments so far. We're gonna leave the link in the chat, and then we're gonna move to the topic of the week, which is where is Blender 2.9? Basically, answer is it's there, it's coming, it's getting ready. So plans were for the release to happen on Wednesday, on the 26th. What happened on Wednesday, and how was it decided to be moved? What was the
criteria for having a set date on the release is to make sure all the efforts are coordinated. So have the communication ready. We have sample files. We have the software as stable as we know it can be. But then there's always room for people testing it and finding critical issues. So we cannot try to always stay at least a full day, ideally more, without any commits to the branch, to the source code.
No changes to Blender. The last change, wait 24 hours to then start building the Blender that people will use. That's a great policy.
It's a very arbitrary, because one day is not enough. So we're still trying to find how we can do that differently for the next release. But you know that at least one day is a good measure. So
it's funny to think that before this even was said, there was no policy. There was like just, okay, last commit, push, commit, compiled, and everybody gets it. But yeah, that's how you often get things like Blender back in the day, 278A, B, and C. Remember, there was a 78C release.
I still love to go back, and this actually anyone can do it. So hello community. If you go to the Blender 2.83, the LTS, and to see all the things that were ported, be interested to know how many of them were introduced like in the during Beacon 3, during Beacon 4, or they're like long-standing bugs. But I'm actually quite curious to know if those high priority issues were porting over. A lot of them are crashes. If they could be prevented with more I don't know, intense code review or more testing, or maybe not. Maybe they're all crashes that have been there for during Beacon 1, Beacon 2, during 2.81, I don't know.
Yeah.
So if anyone has time,
who knows? To see if these patches were that is a good.
If the crash, if the bug that led to the crash was introduced in which moment of the release cycle.
Okay.
So it's a good information to have.
2.83.4 crash when adjusting sequencer property. This was reported. Well, how do you know when was it now? This is from July 16. Oh, actually, this is after the release. So this is a proper LTS release.
Yeah, it was.
Because the 9th of July, I think, was the
master for 2.90, and it's a real critical fix. But the question is when the bug was introduced. Because we have when it was fixed and when it was reported.
Yep.
And to know when it was introduced, it needs a bit more investigation. Some of them, they do have like a bisect, so we know exactly when it happened. For the crash, this is easy to do for the crash, and maybe have enough crashes that you can use as reference, and you just bisect and say, okay, this is when it was introduced. Just will take a lot of time for me to do so.
Yes, so if people want to, but the current Blender that you can download from builder.blender.org, it's pretty much what we are gonna get, right? Except the maybe a couple of fixes, plus the splash screen, of course. But besides that,
yeah, hopefully one more fix, which Bastian just committed.
today.
So he just picked the build bot, so the new builds are being made as we speak.
Oh,
Now, that's something unique also what you're doing now, because since we decided to move the release a few days to play safe, we also decided not to wait for a whole daily build for people to have a more recent Blender. Because usually the builds you see here, they are updated every day only. So we're sending a commit and manually forcing the build bot to rebuild.
Nah, that's
so
good.
By the end of the Blender today, you can check on this website. It's probably going to be updated builds.
All right, so this is from last night at 11 p.m. Let's see. I will be updating this page like crazy. All right, that was for 2.9 release. So 2.9 is gonna happen hopefully next week. But 2.91, what happens? Does it move the date of the release of 2.91? Does it push it further or not?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't interfere, because really the amount of attention that requires just to keep things stable is not that much. So we are already doing the roadmaps for 2.91 and make sure it's still updated for the 2 next releases. And we had that today even, the first meeting with about data, asset, and I/O. Next week we have the other ones. So in theory, moving forward, one of the ideas is to have Beacon 4, which is the last week of the release, to actually last a bit longer, maybe 4 weeks. So instead of setting a tentative day, which is not really strongly reinforced, try to say, okay, we might release within those 4 weeks, and as long as we have no high priority bug reported, then in X days without blah blah blah, we can just commit. We can just release the 2.9.
2.9 release.
2, 3, 4.
Whatever release. Here's a question for the community. How confusing is it for you, or how overwhelming is it for you that 2.90 is not even out yet officially, and people are already talking about 2.91? That's it. I read comments online that people love it. Some people say that it's even just too fast to even catch up with it. Like you can't learn things as fast as Blender updates. That's a very good problem to have, though, especially for a program like Blender that is keeps growing. But like, for example, is it confusing when a feature is announced? Today I published a video that the people from the Grease Pencil team made. It's I can find it.
I haven't seen the video yet.
You've seen it?
I haven't. No, I have not.
Well,
I saw Antonio, I think, tweeting about it, but
yeah, and the Blender tweeted about it. Me. So this video actually was published by they made the Grease Pencil team made it a while ago, and because I was busy with 2.90, I just published it today. But it's a good thing. We need to maybe try to space out the changes. This one in particular, when I was calling this video 291, I was already like, how is it? How does people perceive it? You at home, especially today. Actually, at the beginning of the show, when people were waiting here, hanging out, there were some members of the community were saying like they're just new. They just started using Blender like a few weeks ago. So that is very interesting. I want to know from them as well. How confusing is it that there are currently 3 versions of Blender going on? 283, the official one, which is getting point releases. 290 under development, 291 under even more development. One is in beta, one is in alpha, one is in. So let's see. Quantum Space. I'm 57 and I enjoy the newest alphas. I'm confusing and I'm it's not confusing and I'm old. You're not old. If young people can handle, they need to consider lack of education. The depth or lack of education. It's okay, if it's not confusing, then it's okay. Maybe it can be overwhelming, you know, maybe it can be like, it's just too many changes, I can't keep up, or something like that.
Oh, the main version from Steam, but then you're not talking about, someone has just mentioned that you just get the latest version from Steam, and like the Brawling. But then that's not the daily build, right? So
No. Steam only has official releases: 283 at the moment, LTS, and 290 eventually. There will be 2 Steam versions, I believe. The same as for Microsoft Store, there will be 2 Blender versions that you will be able to download. One is the Blender LTS, and one is 2.90. For the very first release, it might be a bit confusing, because if you're using the LTS to download the new Blender, like when it updates, it will update to 2.90 because it's the last one, the latest one. Or should it be the other way around? We make a new LTS version, we put out 83 there, and then we keep this one as the last one. You know what I mean? It's like they're overlapping.
What? It should not update automatically, because if you're using 2.83, you're using it because it's the LTS. So the alt update should be within this feature set.
So we should rename the current Windows Microsoft Store to LTS, from Blender to Blender LTS, and then make a new release called Blender, a new software, whatever package.
We do this for Snapcraft already, the Linux alt update store. So we have the 2.83, which is the LTS one that gets updated, and then have the I think it's master, the development one.
Yeah.
But then whenever you have the 2.93, this is also going to be a 3 on itself.
Exactly. So we have to find out how to do it better. But yeah, it might be a bit confusing. We added for the latest release, we added the Microsoft Store here to Windows, which it wasn't there actually. It's a link to the latest, which is the Blender, and it will be Blender.
Downloaden.
Yeah. Download. It's in Dutch because it goes to, I'm in the Netherlands, and apparently companies don't know that people from other countries can move to another country without learning the language. So it automatically thinks that. Anyway. All right, let's check out some of the questions, unless you have anything else. You also published an announcement about the Tuesday Team Talks. Want to talk about it? What is it?
Yeah, that's very interesting. We don't do we don't do checks with the modules quite often. Kind of each module is left to its own organizations and its own like structure, whatnot. But it proved to be quite useful to do this for the 2.90 roadmap, and we did quite far. I think we did during Beacon 2 already. And then for 2.91, we said, okay, let's do one right in the beginning. Well, in the beginning, right after 2.90. And if things go well, I would like to do this every week, possibly. Have like a 10-20 minutes check of the modules where you can say, okay, those are the bugs, those are the amount of patches we have. Is anyone planning to address this high priority bug? Is anyone trying to planning to close those bugs if you're not going to fix it, to move to as non-issue? And there's no bug, can you go over maybe the non-issues and see if anything is relevant to the agenda? And those things to say, okay, what
roadmap and I got stuck. We lost you, or you're back. All right, so for me, while we wait,
artist.
Okay, now you're back. Are you around? Okay, I lost him.
Like you see if the developer's planning. I hear you.
I hear you now, but okay, now.
Okay.
Now you're back.
At that time, I could hear.
Somebody step on the cable over there. Save the lie in the chat. Hashtag save the lie. Trending topic on Reddit. Do we have topics on Reddit? No.
So anyway, it's initially a roadmap, but eventually it's going to be, just check on the weekly plans for each module. Just make sure the artists are involved in the module. Make sure people are producing the demo files to see what we can help people with. So Brecht might be in some of the meetings. I plan to be in all of them, at least in the beginning. Let's see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes. This it sounds like a crazy day for you with the Tuesday from 11 to 5:30 every half an hour, like meeting.
We did this in the past, and it's tiring, but it's also it makes you feel very alive because you got to be like active the entire day.
Yeah, and you're gonna be in all of them, so.
Yeah, so to do it weekly, I don't know how it's going to be, but I think it's also worth like you're investing on make sure all the modules are, working together.
Bi-weekly, maybe.
Oh, maybe to be seen.
We'll see. All right, next topic, which is the questions section of the day. Let's see. Do you have the page there? You wanna?
I do.
Refresh
So
in 5, 4, 3, 2,
2, 1. I don't have the page actually.
I sent it to you in Blender.Chat, the Discord of Blender. What?
3, 2, 1, go.
Go. Alrighty. Let's get going. Oh, 22 questions already. All right. Number 1. Hey, there are not too many votes. So we can read this one and then go all the way to the bottom to start chronologically, to be fair with the world. All right, so hello Pablo and the live. Was just wondering, what's the status of this patch D4575? Let's check out. Whip Blender object exporter in C and C++. So it's a patch from 2019. Before the world was so crazy. It was crazy, but not so much. The motivated by the summer of code 2018 and 19, I started to work on the task for porting common exporters to C or C++. Let's see what the status is. Do you know any of this? Have you ever seen this patch before?
Well, not this one, but I know, for instance, that for this year we have once again a Fast I/O Google Summer of Code.
Yes.
Which, by the way, this is the last week of the Google Summer of Code. That'd be a good announcement.
Wait, last week of what?
So the students are to hand their evaluations this week, and next week the mentors hand their evaluation. But technically, the code is over.
Wow, it's over. So now we know if they actually. The final submission. So pencil down, basically, right? They can't code anymore, and the teachers, the mentors, have to see if it's up or down.
Oh, there's like a few students who still need to complete.
So if you're watching this, probably not. They are coding probably.
But anyways, one of them is from Ankit Mill, improving I/O performance for big files.
Yes.
So there's a lot of overlap with.
You know which kind of formats are they tackling? Or the general, the more generic?
No, it's very specific ones. I don't remember because I'm not following that closely. So.
Actually, OBJ and STL.
Yeah, there you go.
OBJ import exporter. It's all done. The importer. It's apparently in the evaluation 1 is missing modifiers and grouping. So what happens, because I see that only evaluation 1 is there and 2 is far and 3 is just a title. So what happens if this doesn't make the cut and it's not approved as a summary of code? Is the code just dangling around the internet?
One thing has no relation with the other, because it's the Google Summer of Code is a learning experience also for the students. So it's not even required that the product, makes it into the final project. Because there's also an opportunity to experiment. Sometimes we have some wild ideas, and then students can help us to see whether it's worth pursuing it. So the evaluation is based on how much effort the student put into it, whether they try to stick to the schedule, if it was not, if they did their work as best as they could. Yeah. That's really the only criteria. And what happens is after the project is finished, then it's up to the mentors to evaluate with the student what's the best merge strategy, how to bring what was developed during the summer into Blender. I know that for the Kaura, the unit test project, for instance, she wanted the project to be reviewed already because she already knows that she will not have time not have much time after the Google Summer of Code. So ideally, people try to wrap up before or try to, just make sure things
align. Let's see.
What is this?
What, you're looking at the chat?
No, in front of me, there's like a floating window here.
A what? A floating window. Oh, yeah, it's the... So this is the back behind the scene. This is the thing. I don't know how to hide it. Maybe if I like inspect... Let's see. I'm gonna inspect it and then gonna remove this whole chunk. Bam. And then I remove it.
Too big.
Live hacking on the way. In live. All right. So inspect for the win. What would be web size be without inspection? All right. So we were talking about faster I/O. Yes. And what is people talking here in the chat? People are saying hello to each other. Will Blender 2.83 files be deleted when we download Blender 2.9? No. Blender, if you're talking about the releases in actually if you go to blender.org,
and the answer is no, regardless of what we're talking about.
No, but if you're talking about the Blender versions themselves, you go to download, then you go to previous versions, and here you can access Blender 2.7, which is still highlight for a lot of people, but you can go to all previous versions, and that will take you all the way to Blender 1.0. 1.6, 1, 2, 3, every version that ever existed of Blender that is legally allowed to be shared, it's here. So yeah, nothing gets deleted. You can use the version you like until the end of days. Will there be an Easter egg in Blender 2.9?
No.
Would be an Easter egg if we say?
Well, there's gonna be, it's even worse than that. There's gonna be no you know how we have experimental features in 2.91? You can say they're kind of Easter eggs. You really need to look hard to find them.
Yeah.
But for 2.90, for any release, when it comes to a beta and the final release, we don't expose those features at all. So if you want to play with the new particles, which is still experimental, you cannot in 2.90. But you can try in the 2.91. So
you can. And we're actually already working on the video. Francesco is working on the video really hard. I'm working on the release notes, which I'm not gonna spoil a lot, but maybe you can find. You can see this guy here, clinky. Spoiler alert. No, I inspected the video, the page, and removed the splash before doing it in case I make a stupid mistake and show the splash screen, which is so sacred. The splash screen, right, is
and it looks pretty good this time. Well, it always does, right? It always does.
It always does, but this time, and it's someone that really deserves it.
And this time, the file is really, once again, a one-to-one with the rendered image.
Yes, it's Eevee.
Yeah. That's all spoilers.
That's all we can say. And it's very nice. And yeah, and the file itself has instructions on how to use it and everything. The person that did it did a fantastic job. So, okay. Next question. Well, actually, this is part of the same question. It's honestly one of the biggest problems while sculpting in Blender. Importing and exporting large models is nearly impossible if you don't have a lot of RAM. Just don't import and export. Just stay in Blender. No, kidding. Sculpt mode itself may be amazing, but you will inevitably have to export and import at some point. But yeah, the goal would be also that you don't have to import and export at some point, right? That you can just do everything in one.
Sometimes you want even
of course you want. Of course you want. If you're in a pipeline and everything, it has to be faster. But it would be great if you would have to. That would be even greater, right? You could do everything in it. Why having a sculpt mode anyway? Otherwise. Michael Warner says, "We love you, Delay. I know doing this as much as you do is hard work, but we love." Thank you.
Pablo as well.
That is such a nice comment.
Super cool. Pablo, question by Blender with Aaron. I was looking for a place on YouTube with a lot of Blender tutorials in everything, all aspects. Have not really found any, so I was hoping that Blender could start a YouTube channel just for tutorials. Question 1, what do you think about this? And will this be put into consideration? That's one question. What about this idea? One dedicated Blender YouTube channel only for training?
We already have Blender developers for development and Blender for everything else, and the Blender Animation Studio. So we already have Blender Animation Studio for the feature for the films. We still don't know when we are making stuff where to put things. We have Blender Cloud for the Blender Cloud YouTube channel here, where we publish the content about the cloud. We even publish some video updates back in the day. We have Blender developers for development itself. This is more maintained than the rest. And then we have the Blender YouTube channel, which is the one and only, the one you're watching it right now. I think having an extra channel can be even more confusing. So the idea is to have not only a channel, but actually a place where we can share those tutorials. Right now, the place in Blender.org to download the tutorials is not ideal, because it needs a lot of work. It needs to have more content right now. At some point we clean up all the content, but I can spoil people that there are more tutorials coming here, and I would like to involve more the community in this. And I've been asking around to tutorial authors to if they want to share tutorials with Blender, and just so we can upload them to this channel. And then we can probably put them for free for everybody in the tutorial section. The idea is that this section is available for everyone, so we are asking to the tutorial authors to actually give us the videos, so we upload them to this channel to ensure that there will never be advertisement on them or like weird stuff. But yeah, no, basically it's just we'll try to make this channel more active. Let's continue. Actually, I'm gonna scroll all the way down because there are no more votes, at least as far as I can see, and it would be more fair if we answer the one. Well, actually, I only had to scroll like one page, but anyway, to answer the ones that were were left before. First, Momotron 2000. Hi, Pablo, my friend, amigo. Just noticed a few days ago that William Reinisch left the Blender Foundation Institute and works now at Unity.
How people even get wind of this?
How do they learn?
Yeah.
Wasn't it mentioned somewhere?
That he went for Unity? I don't think so. I think we just mentioned that he was going elsewhere.
Ah, yeah, I don't think I ever mentioned it. But yeah, he's working at Unity now. It's in his hometown. It's much easier than working online. And also it's great experience, you know. Then in 10-20 years, go back to Blender and make it awesomer. He left without an
remember, Unity is one of the Blender Patreon sponsors.
Exactly. So it's good to have friends all over the industry. So right now, Unity, it's next to the big boys here, Epic, AMD, and Nvidia. Unity is supporting with $120,000 euros, some kroners now, in yearly, together with the rest of the team. And Ubisoft renewed also.
Yeah, that's new. One of the news for this week. Yes.
They renewed, yes, exactly, because people have to renew to stay in here. That's the thing. So it's very nice. Thank you, companies, for making this place ever.
Comments. Julian was saying that if you go to William's LinkedIn, you can find where he's working now.
Ah.
Too smart nowadays.
That explains. Yep. Are people stalking others on LinkedIn, or maybe they are just friends on LinkedIn? And all right. The rest of the actual question says he left without an epic goodbye speech. I hope he is not angry because of some bittersweet community members ranting on his hard and thought out work and left in peace and happiness. Can you confirm?
Oh, no. They found out everything now, Pablo.
What?
No. They found out all the secret story behind Williams.
Oh, the fight and the discussion and the flying cups. No, of course not. No, absolutely not. It's just more convenient to have Unity has an office in where William is in Denmark, so it's much more convenient. He was working, I think, part-time for Blender, right? Even.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a few hours a week.
Yeah, exactly. But if you can dedicate more, and if you have a family and you have, life, I don't see it as something permanent. You never know. People
Pablo,
go.
question for you.
Yes, okay, sir. Who's?
By Daniela Palme.
Yes,
or Daniela Palme.
I still don't know. Hey,
Pablo, is the Blender team getting hype for some vacation time?
Yes.
Oh,
Sorry.
what do you mean by hype?
No, not hype. What about?
People do have regular vacations in the office. Sometimes they have to be told to take vacations because people like the work too much, because the work is amazing. But everyone tends to take vacation, though. Don't worry about that. Then,
Yes.
second question is, I was wondering if you knew anything about nodes, part of a 2.90 roadmap in the user interface. Is this shady nodes as such? What kind of user interface change are we thinking? Cheers.
About the nodes part of the 2.90 roadmap.
Or the UI, yeah, because in the
yes.
UI module there is nodes as one of the targets.
Oh yeah, but that's it has to do with the particle nodes section, which are part of experimental part of Blender 2.9, and they are not enabled by default, but the work done on the user interface relates to the whole logic basically of the system, right? If you if I have it enabled, yeah, I do have it enabled. The experimental section, simulation editor. If you have played with this, you if it worked, will be great, and you will find out that the interface is a bit different, right? For logic, you need other kinds of sockets, or the way they connect, or maybe groups need to be revamped, or the connection between the sockets. There's a lot of user interface work for that.
One of the things that's unique to the node, the particle node system, is that it might require a socket to be able to get multiple inputs, and that has to be communicated in a different way. So those are the things that need to be addressed for the particle project.
Yes, and socket with a lot of inputs. All right, the next question is for you, Talarida. Hi, Talarida. I was wondering how to load a scene strip to cache, like prefetch it in the sequencer. Currently, I have to scroll over the clip multiple times because pressing play and letting it play doesn't load the whole thing to cache.
First, if you use proxies, I think, well, maybe the best answer is the cache system is being refactored. So there's a new project for the VSC, which includes a lot of new features, but also a few refactors, such as for the cache system, because we have a new cache in Blender since a few releases, but it's kind of a lot of new options and whatnot. And ideally, you want a cache that just works. And similar, as you said, even if you try to manually force it. So we don't have a prefetch, do we? For
no, we have for the movie clip editor. You press P and it prefetches. However, what I do, maybe there is and I miss it, but what I usually do.
Oh, scene strips. Sorry, there's no proxy for scene strips.
Yeah. Exactly for that's what I mentioned about the scene strip. But still, for caching this, what I do, if you play it, sometimes it doesn't play, because it tries to skip frame. So what I do is I just, in the timeline, I go to playback and I change it from no sync, or like this will not skip any frame, so it will play every frame. So it's forced to not go at the speed you want at first, but it will force every frame to be cached. It's a workaround. It's not it would be nice to have a prefetch button.
Yes.
No, wait, we have prefetching for strips in the wait.
Well, not for scene strips, I don't know.
For scene strips.
For scene strip.
Yeah, the prefetching for regular ones is in strip cache. Where is it? And there was a prefetch button. Now I can find it. If only I could find.
Let's see if I can find it here.
Can you find it? Where is it?
Yeah, I don't know. Don't remember. But anyway,
the scenes though don't have prefetching as far as I know, or do they?
Holy moly, did I just crash?
You crash Blender? How? That's impossible. I heard. Strip cache, yeah, you can. I don't know how that's going to work. Does it bake in a video? No.
It is because of the multi-view bug, I believe.
Okay. Let's move on to the next.
Something that's
to the next question. Yeah. Here the prefetching is over here, I think. Here, prefetch frames in the view. So maybe it does work with scenes. Try doing here in the view settings in the viewer, like Everton Schneider says in the chat. That's where you can enable prefetching, but apparently it's not strip dependent, so you should prefetch them. Let's see, if I click here, it should load the whole thing if you remove the mouse for a bit. It's not doing it though.
From Schneider.
Time to test that. If it doesn't work, please report. This question is you have to ask it. By Timothy.
I was meant to remember Everton. Everton, we want more for sample files. It was helping a lot the soft body Google Summer of Code.
Sorry, who?
Everton Schneider. The comment on the chat. And like the best sample files for the Google Summer of Code. Super fun.
Nice. Thank you, Everton.
He's an early adapter of Google Blender physics support back in the days. Nice fellow from Brazil. So, Pablo.
Yes, sure.
Good morning from Timothy Cook. Well, morning for him, anyways.
Morning.
Curious about. I'm curious about the decision to move the progress bar to the bottom far right. Just curious, what was the decision to move the progress bar from the bottom center to the bottom far right? It's good either way, but it kind of dominates the scene stats, causing all the text to jump right every time it's activated.
Well, I didn't have a lot of. I had an opinion on that, but I was just too busy with other things to actually go through the whole process, of making a proposal and changing stuff. But yeah, I don't like the notifications down there either. I think the progress part and the whole notification system needs being worked out. You can have multiple things in progress sometimes, or you could have if you're rendering or baking and the system doesn't even allow it. It's a bit outdated, and the notifications also don't stay there long enough, so there should be a better way to manage that, and haven't done a proposal. One of the ideas will be to maybe use the soon to be updated info editor, where you could see more things going on here. Another one will be to have
what's the plan for the info editor, if not that
info editor? Well, for the Google Summer of Code, have you seen all the?
I haven't checked actually the latest.
Oh, you should. It's super awesome. There are you can copy paste. There is syntax highlighting, for example. You can copy paste the commands there more easily. You can filter stuff in the. Let's see if we can find it in the dev talk. I think it's it's not getting the attention it deserves. Here, info editor, 33 comments, and the outliner 500 comments. Now we can see where's the
soft body one. You can see the demo files I was talking about.
Here, look at my screen. You can see now you can filter reports or logs. You have syntax highlighting, auto scrolling here. These I'm not completely familiar with.
So I cannot have logs and reports and same. I have to pick one, right?
You can. That's a good question. That's a problem with the Blender UI, that the buttons, the radio buttons, you can't see at a glance on a screenshot if the button allows you to have multiple states, like at the same time, or a toggle. That's a problem we need to solve.
Yeah.
But yeah, you should check it out. Super awesome, and I think it's gonna make it because it's very far. The progress is very, very far. Next, let's see. Sorry.
No, it's an interesting question with image. Oh, you don't have the image.
No, because I think I have the privacy badger, yeah, which I should disable in this website. Go on. I know this website.
And if you refresh, then what happened? Anyways, it's so
Oh
Pablo.
no, it refreshed the page and now I lost it. Here, so Helch. Hi Pablo, and highly appreciated. Is this do I have to ask it? Or?
No, that's the one. Yeah, go ahead. Maybe I can answer that. So
over the last few days, Jorge Zombie and I love that name. Jorge Zombie and I have been talking about the wonderful new called Vertex Colors. Yes, which is a experimental feature of Blender 2.91. We noticed that they disappear from 2.90 experimental builds, but are still present in 2.91. Yes, that is correct. Trying to figure this out, we stumbled upon experimental features. They are also only available on daily builds of Master, Beta, and Final Releases don't have these panels. Question, does it mean that some experimental features like Skull Vertex Colors can only be found in alpha builds? Yes, that is correct. The idea and the goal is that final releases and beta releases, which are gonna become finals, can only have stable code, stable features, as stable as possible. So shoveling experimental things together in a final release is not the best practice, because things can get messy. So keeping the experimental features only for alpha stage or master. Is that sir manager 2.8 project Blender project one?
Right, that was my doing the putting, removing it. There was a bug when I removed it. It crashed Blender, but then it's all good, all fixed. And the one that we kept the experimental panel, actually, I think for not I think we kept the overall panel because we still have some debugging options there, such as the old undo and the cycles debug, but it shouldn't concern users. And the other important change is that the API, the Python API, is also not available in the in the 2.90. So it prevents people from creating add-ons that rely on an API that you know is going to change. So
makes sense. Just trying to make things more stable. Trying to rule out all the error-prone sections. All right, it's your turn, sir. And I refreshed the page, so I lost count. But yes.
Hola, Pablo. It's what? Just go to the name and the ones. Yeah, that's the one. Hola, Pablo. Hope you're fine.
Mille porte.
Well, in my opinion, the mix node in the shader editor has an inconsistent and counterintuitive behavior compared to any other software. Usually, black is transparent, and white is full opaque. But in the mix node, the black value shows the upper input instead of to show the one below. Basically, the black values act as if they were fully opaque. What do you think about that? And then a question is, will the texture nodes available from the modifiers be integrated in the shader editor?
Okay, so it's two questions.
Okay, so first question, sorry. So the black is opaque or is transparent, Pablo? What do you think?
No, black is transparent and white is opaque. But that's what he says, right? That in every software.
Yeah, Blender is different.
No, Blender is now okay. Now I'm confused. Is it though? You're sure? Let's see. Let's get the best texture here. Checker. If I add a checker, black and white, to what? To the alpha, for example. Or is it the mix node that he was?
Yeah, the mix node.
The mix node. Okay, let's go. Mix. Oops. I don't even know what I'm doing here, but yeah, okay. Mix node, and then I have a dark and white.
How does that make sense?
What is the question again? Because it's mixing black and white with upper and below. That's two different things.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, they're two entirely separate concepts.
The two topics. So the reason why Blender gives priority to the bottom, to color 2 instead of color 1, is because Blender works that way. Everywhere in, for example, the modifier stack, whatever you had at the bottom takes precedence of what is on the top, right? So it makes sense that the mix, that the nodes also work that way. Or does
there's nothing to do with color. The color is the default, the fallback color. Yeah, the colors have nothing to do with this opacity. It's just the default colors.
Ah, the default color of the... Yeah, no, it was just a random color. It could have been red and blue, but it's just the default color to make it. But yeah, I think the question was more related on what is on top and bottom and how Blender treats that. I think. Mille, if you can reply, if you're in the chat, please let us know. And the question... what? Sorry.
I know, sorry, because if you put as an input for the influence, for the transparency, a color, and it's black color, then shows the...
Shows the mesh. No, shows the transparent.
We're converting the color to values. But I mean, basically what you said is how we're combining top and bottom.
I think it's top and bottom and not just a color thing, because black is transparent, white is opaque. In Blender, always. Which is what it says here. I'm not... I couldn't follow the question very well. Next question though, Andreas. Is that correct? Hey,
there was a follow-up question from you, which is...
sorry. With the texture nodes.
So, Pablo, will the texture nodes available from the modifier used by displacement modifier, for example, be integrated in the shader editor? So, displacement modifier can take a texture as an input.
Yeah,
and
which is really...
same node.
Which is really weird because it looks like Blender internal. If you, for example, add a texture here, this texture here, you can go to the texture settings and it looks like, well, now I have an image, but if I go here and I set it to the clouds, for example, I don't have access to this texture, or do I? No, they are not added here. However, you have them available in the soon-to-be dead texture editor though. But you can access... Yeah, no, that whole part is a mess. The whole texture managing of the textures here in the modifiers and in here in the texture editor, it's just a mess. I wonder how, if the asset manager... we can just hope that the asset manager is going to fix everything in Blender. Presets and textures and everything. So there should be one place where you can access all of those textures. The texture node editor could be the place, but it's not ideal, right? It doesn't have... It's missing here a section. It has world, brush, line style. But this is not a brush, not a world, not a line style. This is just a texture. Right?
Yeah, well, it's legacy. Yeah, but it's like...
Yeah, it's legacy.
As a user, I always found it very confusing to go to the texture panel in the old Blender. And like, why am I seeing the word? What is the brush texture? I don't care about that. I want texture for this material. And...
So weird. I remember doing just a workaround, just going in here, adding it as a brush, and then you can use the nodes, and then this should work. If you have a checkerboard, and then you don't see it here. What is this crap?
The type is none.
It's none, and then
doesn't want to type none.
Because I'm changing the type. If I have custom. Oh, look, a 12-year-old in the chat. Let's here. No, it's just not. It should show up here. This whole thing, it has to be. Has to be rethought.
6 Minuten, Pablo.
6 Minuten. Okay. We are running out of time because it's the end of the day. You have to go to the meeting. Stirling Goats. When will Cycles displacement leave experimental mode? Has been in that mode for many years, and also we have developers still working on the fracture modifier into main. I think this goes to the top 10 questions.
Diffraction with fire, yes, but the cycle one is a good question because it's tagged as experimental because I think GPU still doesn't fully support displacement is supported by GPU.
I think
But some of the features which are tagged as experimental, they are so because only a subset of cycles can support it. That's usually the reason.
Usually the reason. It's funny though that the experimental, it's been experimental for how much years?
For long years, but then again, it's because of no one's. Maybe you should present it in a different way to the users because it's not experimental. It's just
not fully supported.
Not.
But no, but so I mean, you could say the same about branch path tracing, and it's not experimental.
I don't know. Good question.
Yeah.
Let's ask that.
Let's ask the developers. All right, so let's do. You're about to leave, so let's do 3 more questions. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, fracture modifier. No, I think the is it Michael Scorpion 81 that was working on it, but I haven't heard of.
I know the name.
Yeah, Scorpion 81, his username, but I haven't seen news from him in a while. Question number.
1 out of 3. Hey Pablo, I wonder if there's a way to single-click filter channels in the graph editor instead of having to hide multiple channels just to get the ones I want to see. So you want like to click isolate, as we have for collections in the outliner.
Like local mode.
Yeah. I'm missing something. It's simply too tedious to filter channels. You can type the channel name.
You can filter, yeah. I don't know what is more tedious. You can,
or you can filter by selection. No.
You're suggesting people to type the channel name because it's faster than.
No, I'm not.
No. Let's see. So here we have this, and you want to isolate. I think Shift Control. This doesn't even work. I thought Control and Shift would work here. For this. No? That's a nice task for... No. That's a good point. Yeah. No, you can filter it and type it here manually.
Forget to type it.
But not even then. Look, I am filtering by Y. Oh yeah, okay, here. Yeah, it is. About 001? No. So then it will filter all the Y channels of every object I have selected. It's not ideal. Right click, hide channels. Wait. Right click, hide channels. We're getting here the...
I'm trying 2.79. No way either.
Mute channels, protect channels group, toggle channel editability, collapse channels, and there is no such thing as hide channels.
Be a good new feature though.
Yeah. Good to know. All right. Number 2. Question number 2.
Question number 2 out of 3 is the. I lost her.
Any news on new text mesh improvements, cleaner geometry, better extrude features, etc.?
No.
No news.
That
cold. No news.
No news. No news is good news. No, it's just.
Question for you as a developer. You are a developer. When you read these things, do you feel guilty? How do you sleep at night? No, I'm kidding. But do you feel like, man, I wish I had time to work on this thing that everybody's doing or asking?
The last change there was in the Blender text object was probably the ones I added. So I'm still okay to have good karma in that area. No, scale to fit and whatnot, right?
Yes.
And I knew for me it was very clear because someone needed for a very specific project was hired to do that actually. Was not working for Blender. I mean, but if I on my own, free to do whatever, I would probably implement something else. But there's always so many things you could work on that if you cannot live with the fact that there's always going to be things that you won't be able to help, then you're doomed. So I'm pretty okay with that.
But is there something in the development, or like maybe it's just a small thing, but it has to go through review because now Blender is bigger and you have to talk to the module owner or whatever? Does it play any role in? Does that?
No. For me, definitely not. I know some people feel a bit more uneasy to have to go through this procedure. I think it's nicer. We have more people to help you looking at the code, more people to test it. It builds some redundancy in everything as well.
That's
definitely
nice.
Not this.
Hey, that's nice. All right, so the last question, or maybe that could have been the last question. I don't know if you have to go.
Oh, you can do this. That was a final question. There's a bonus. If you go now to the builder.blender.org.
What? There's a bonus. Oh yeah, there is. 28th of August.
Just now.
3 p.m.
As we mentioned, so this was the previous commit that Bastian did.
Yeah.
So.
That okay, so that is a bonus. Thank you very much. That is the latest commit available in Blender 2.9 and possibly the last one.
Hopefully the
last one. And just a splash.
Well,
just a matter of putting.
Yeah, not the last one, but
when is the splash gonna be committed? Monday, maybe, hopefully.
Monday. So do splash and the version bump and the versioning, which is to be able to handle backward compatibility. That doesn't matter. That doesn't concern people, but on Monday as well. And the translation, the translation files. I think that's all.
Thank you for the insight, the input. I know you have to go to do the weekly, so I think I'm gonna wrap up here with people. There are questions left though. There is one about the loop of the ocean modifiers, the feature requests, and then can we have the alternate? So it's more feature request algorithm added into remesh. I'm not familiar with any of those, but so I'm sorry.
Xiaoqi just replies, "Hey, come watch the weekly."
Who?
Xiaoqi. He's walking around the studio.
Okay, sorry. Okay, well, thank you, Dalai, for staying until the end. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for all the updates. Last week I had Francesco here, so it's nice to have you over. Next week, we'll see. What do we do? Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays.
A special summer of code to be seen.
To be decided. I just want 2.9 to be over so we can go back to working. All right. Thank you, Dalai. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And if I go full screen, here. All right. Thanks, everybody, for staying until the end. I have some chats. Let's hang out in the chat a little bit. Pablo, do whatever you want. I still watch. Thank you, Luke. I've been thinking about it. What do you miss the old format, to the Monday formats where we were doing a little bit of Blender updates? I kind of miss a little bit of that, but I don't know. Maybe I should just do both. Mondays with reading the news. I think it made it a bit more interactive. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, please. I'm unsure about how to proceed. I know as soon as 2.90 is over, which is taking all the time in the world right now, we're gonna go back to making the short episodes of feature-based episodes. Having them in the live stream, it also made it a bit nicer in a way, because I could give some shout outs to the developers, to the new developers in the community. I was kind of missing that part too, and talk a little bit about everything. Please share your setup. My setup, I think I did it in one video on my own channel. I did it in the past. I miss the new feature showcases. I know I'm gonna be making videos for that, shorter videos, but it's I have to do it at home. I still don't feel confident using the same microphone that other people are using at the studio, and the keyboard and the mouse, or disinfect everything every time you want to make a video. This is just so much easier. It's just turn on the camera and start recording. Okay, now Pablo, what accent do you have? I have an accent that is a mess. I've been living I was born in Argentina, so I speak Spanish. I was born in the south of Argentina, so it's not the Argentinian thick Argentinian that most people know. It's a bit more from the fields, from the country. Then I moved here it's been 12 years that I've been hanging out outside of Argentina, so my accent is going down, so now it's a mess. It's a real mess. Some people think I'm Indian, or some But is it Russian? I don't know. Thank you for asking. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Watch out, because thanks everybody for staying until the end. I was just watching some of the comments. Stay safe, stay inside as much as you can. There's a second wave going on. Let's not make it worse. Let's go back to real life soon. And I'll see you again next week. Same place, same time for more Blender Today. 118. Ciao.